Hello, thank you for tuning into our YouTube channel. Special thanks to those who have already subscribed. But there is still room for improvement, so hit that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen to join this community. And remember, like this video so that YouTube is persuaded to show it to others. Thank you. In this video, I want to draw your attention to a social media post which illustrates the kind of society Barbados, unfortunately, is becoming. The item in question is a post by a Facebook account called Chase Files. As you can see, it is a clear smear of Mr. Ralph Thorne, former leader of the DLP opposition, and the candidate in the recently concluded general election in Barbados. The post is based on a letter purporting to have been sent by the President of Barbados, Mr. Jeffrey Bostic, to the administration of the DLP. As you can see, the post describes the President's letter as quote-unquote classy and taunts Mr. Thorne for now being without a pension because he was prevented from having a senatorial post. What I want to do here is highlight what, in my view, is a very compelling response to the post. The respondent begins by refuting the main assertions of the post. In the next section of the response, the author argues that since there is no opposition, the President really has no opportunity to exercise the provision to appoint anyone as opposition senators, since there is in fact no opposition. Here the commenter is making reference to Section 36 of the Constitution, which deals with the appointment of senators. Before we continue, I want to address a notion that has been floating around in Barbados since 2021, when the country became a republic. It is the notion that Barbados does not have a constitution. Put bluntly, that is a false notion, and while it may score sharp points for architects of confusion and conspiracy theorists, it is simply not true. The first constitution was published in 1966, before independence. It is called the Barbados Independence Order. Like any other piece of legislation, the constitution can be amended, and so it has been several times. There was a major, and some might say infamous, amendment in 1974, when the then Prime Minister Errol Barrow brought adjustments which some have blamed for the subsequent undue influence of ministers over the civil service. It is not our purpose to examine such amendments here. Suffice it to say that legislation is amended all the time, but no one claims that the piece of legislation has disappeared simply because it has been amended. For example, amending the Road Traffic Act does not mean a Road Traffic Act no longer exists. Perhaps you will come back to the subject on another occasion, because it is absolutely appalling the things that Barbadians believe and repeat with certainty. The next statements made by the commenter may sound harsh, but there are elements of truth to them. The commenter accuses the Chase Files of being a quote-unquote running dog for the Motley tribe. Now, running dog is a quote-unquote pejorative term for an unprincipled person who helps or flatters those who are more powerful and often evil. End of quote. Well, you can judge the accuracy of that label for yourself. But my personal recollection of the site in question is that it gave the impression of being non-partisan at the beginning of the election, but as the electioneering progressed, the non-partisan facade began to disappear. The next two comments are particularly controversial. If you listen to Mr. Thorne's speech on the nomination of Mr. Bostic, you will have to admit it was gracious. In my view, he could have objected on at least two grounds. My question for you, the audience, is this. Do you agree that the DLP should not have accepted the President's request to nominate opposition senators, given that it was not the official opposition. The constitutional crisis arising from having no opposition has occurred 3 times in a row. Is there any change that can be made to our system that would prevent such an occurrence? The answer is yes, and in the next episode we will discuss that change, which a minority is aware of and hardly anyone is talking about. Thank you for watching, and tell us what you think in the comment section. Shalom, and have a good day.